Mesdames et messieurs, bonsoir ou bien bonjour, ça dépend qui côté ou prêt pour attendre vidéo. Et nous tous connaissons qui est-ce qui est là qui a parlé, c'est ancien président Barack Hussein Obama. Nous connaissons qu'il fait 2 mandats comme président. Et ça arrive dans la situation qui a passé dans le pays aux États-Unis. Nous comprenons la situation. Il est un petit peu très compliqué. Il demande toutes les leaders, toutes les grandes leaders de sortir pour venir porter concours. Et bagaille difficile, bagaille dit. Et bagaille vraiment dit dans le moment où on a parlé. Et problème immigration, tout l'autre problème, très difficile. Bonsoir ou bien bonjour, ça dépend du côté où vous attendre la vidéo encore. C'était pour la première fois où vous allez découvrir Chanel là, n'a pas demandé, s'il vous plaît. Et pas oublier, mettez votre pouce, bon un petit thumbs up. Deuxièmement, abonnez avec Chanel là. Troisièmement, quittez un petit commentaire. Dis-nous qui sont pensés de ce qui a passé actuel dans le monde là. Comment la situation est, comment la situation est présentée. Est-ce que dans le temps qui vient, il y a plus bon ou bien il y a plus mal toujours. Brothers and sisters, good morning or either good evening. It depends where you about to support the video or listen to my video. Is that the first time you enter to my channel? Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up, and then leave me a comment. Let me know what you think, what's going on. Now, I know everybody know who's sit there, who's talking right now. It's the former President Barack Hussein Obama. We know that Obama and Biden 8 years, and Biden just make another 4 years, a Democrat 12 years. The question we always asking, do thing was better on his time, or do thing is the same thing today, or the situation is getting more complicated, guy. Once again, thank you guys for all the support the video. Thank you guys, thank you so much for that. And then tonight we just try to put in the video, guy. Everybody knows what's going on in the world. The situation in the world this day is complicated. Thing is get out of control. That's the way I see it. And you guys hear what happened? Stock market, immigration, everything, guy. Tariff, and I don't know. I'm going to let you listen to the former President Barack Hussein Obama. I'm going to let you listen what he say, what he think, what he going to say to the American people. His thing will get better anytime soon. Thank you so much, guy. We're going to go and listen to him, guy. Thank you so much, guy. Ciao, ciao. Let's go and listen to it. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to the video. Pas oublier abonner avec Chanel à tout le monde. Merci. En allez.
Something more precious, which is, who are we as a country and what values do we stand for? And now, this is not just an abstraction, and I think this is one of the challenges that we have. And I saw this even before the last election. I think people tend to think, democracy, rule of law, independent judiciary, freedom of the press, that's all abstract stuff because it's not affecting the price of eggs. Well, you know what? It's about to affect the price of eggs. One of the things that has distinguished us in the past has been this basic idea that we are a rules-based society. What that means is that, you know what, I can support one candidate instead of another, and I don't have to worry that the police are going to come harass me or my customers. That's what happens in other places. That's what happens in Russia. We take for granted the idea that we don't have to pay bribes or hire somebody's cousin in order to get a business permit. That's how we built the economy we did. That's why this place worked. It is up to all of us to fix this. It's not going to be because somebody comes and saves you. The most important office in this democracy is the citizen, the ordinary person, who to say you are progressive, or say you are for social justice, or say you're for free speech, and not have to pay a price for it. And now we're at one of those moments where, you know what, it's not enough just to say you're for something. You may actually have to do something and possibly sacrifice a little bit. So, yeah, if you're a law firm being threatened, you might have to say, okay, we will lose some business because we're going to stand for a principle. If you are a university, you may have to say, figure out, are we in fact doing things right? Have we in fact violated our own values, our own code, violated the law in some fashion? If not, and you're just being intimidated, well, you should be able to say, well, that's why we got this big endowment. For most of human history, and to this day in most of places in the world, there is a cost to challenging the powers that be, particularly if they're abusing that power. And this idea, and I've noticed this among some wealthier folks who, you know, after George Floyd, they were right there, and a bunch of companies were talking about how they cared about diversity and they wanted to do this and they were all for that. And they are mute right now. But what that tells me is it was okay when it was cool and trendy. And when it's not, not so much. And that, I think, is what we have to, each of us has to examine in our own hearts.
The question, ça qui passe, ancien président américain qui c'est monsieur Barack Hussein Obama, et ça l'a dit est très très important. Il veut faire connaître si il dit il y a bon nous prêcher comme avocat ou bien dans la justice là, dans tout job n'a fait, si nous étions en silence, ça capable arriver, c'est capable venir mal pour nous. Si nous bataille, nous comme la bataille là, c'est une bataille qui est juste liée, il dit c'est pour nous continuer bataille, pour nous camper, pour nous dire non, ça pas passé. Il dit et tout ça qu'a fait yo.
Economic effects, which will include higher inflation and slower growth.
The Fed says it will be monitoring how other countries respond to Trump's tariffs. Friday, China announced a 34% retaliatory tariff on all American products. That pain is being felt everywhere. Americans are bracing themselves for higher prices. And anyone who has looked at their savings in the past 24 or 48 hours is not feeling too good.
There's a lot of panic going on, a lot of reasons.
Jim Mose is an accounting professor at the University of New Haven. He says we should not be panicking, at least not right now.
I think it's an over.
It's great to be back in Central Florida. I want to thank Tim and the Florida Realtors for having us. We're also joined by Bill Hyde, who's a Central Floridian and a veteran. He's going to have some things to say about what we're talking about this morning. So I think most people who've been in Florida over recent years have seen, you know, on the one hand, if you're a homeowner and you bought a home 5-10 years ago, your home's worth a lot more now, just based on the market, based on people wanting to have a demand to live in Florida. And so, you know, there's obviously a lot of benefits that come to that. I mean, I know people who bought their homes for $250,000 30 years ago, and now they're assessed at over $1 million. That's not something that is out of the ordinary, and that is a source of wealth, particularly if you're free and clear of the mortgage. But one of the drawbacks of that is you have bought a house at a certain price. You could obviously afford that. You may have been taxed at that price at the time. Now you have local governments telling you, well, actually, no, your house is worth a lot more. Pony up more to us in the form of property taxes. And so people have seen, even with homestead exemption, it has not been enough to be able to protect people against these rising assessments. And then, of course, if you're in a situation, and look, we have a relatively mobile workforce. I mean, if you're somebody that has a job in Tampa and then you have a better offer to come to Orlando, you sell that house, but then now you're buying a new house at a higher value, you're locked into a higher tax base right there. And so that has been something that's been very difficult for a lot of people to afford. And then, of course, you've got elderly on fixed income. They had budgeted for a certain number of costs, and now all of a sudden they're having to see more and more in the form of higher property assessments. So we've recognized this as an issue.
I do agree with the governor. So what he said is true. A lot of people, they not really paying attention to when they're doing things. Let's say the way the economic is right now, you already have 2 cars. Why you have to go buy another 2 cars? Your insurance gonna go high, and your bill gonna go high, and you already have a house. And then why would you buy a house now? It's gonna cost you a lot more than what you pay. Ça gouverneur a dit, qui est très important, les dit moun yo pas prudent, les a pas acheté. Par exemple, sous nan moment situation ça, c'est pas nan moment ça pour t'acheter ton cahier. C'est pas nan moment ça pour t'acheter ton machine. Mais sous pense ou te ka payer, ou pas acheter ou ka payer, mais faut garder travail là qui job qui bilouge déjà, genre situation y a ou pas qu'à prendre bill mettre sous tête. Moun yo ti gens vraiment foolish, yo vraiment pas porter attention, et puis les fini abdou yo pas qu'à payer, yo petit les viten. Ça gouverneur a dit moi d'accord avec lui. Ça c'est gouverneur Florida qui a parlé, nous connaît et son monsieur qui met Florida et tête en bas. Merci tout le monde, en côté.
Looking to do and work with the legislature on is authorizing, and I have a lot of authority as governor under both the Constitution and statutes, but authorizing a nice, crisp DOGE effort for local governments where you'd have the keys to the kingdom, you'd be able to look at the payments, the contracts, and then publicize this. Because if you look at the budgets, it's very opaque. There may be a line item, you don't know where that money is being funneled, as we've seen with the federal government. It ends up going to all these different places. We have made grow by that much. I think the answer is probably going to be no, but we want to be able to do that so that voters can see. Because they'll tell you, oh, they can't do property tax relief because then you're not going to have any police or anything. That's not true, okay? That is not true, but that's what they'll say. They'll say, you're not going to have any more schools, you're not going to do it. No, it's not true. But I think we can show that through the DOGE effort. So we want to be able to do that, and then, of course, build up to having very robust constitutional protections. And the thing about it is, property taxes are an anomaly because, they're not voluntary. Consumption taxes are basically voluntary. And I go to the supermarket, most of the stuff you buy there's not taxed, right? But if I buy some other stuff that is not considered a staple, I just know I'm going to pay tax on it. If I go buy a big screen TV, I'm going to pay tax on it, and I can choose to buy that or not buy that. But you just basically, for subsisting and living on your own property, on your own parcel of land, your own home, particularly people that own it free and clear of any encumbrances, you got to just keep writing a check to the government just for the privilege of using your own property. And that's an anomaly. That's not the way good tax policy should be. It certainly undercuts the idea of private
I think it's great.
That you own.
What it is, it's great. I believe that.
And you effectively are wards of the local government because you're having to pay rent to them just to be able to exercise your basic rights to own and enjoy property. And we don't do that on other things. When I buy that big screen TV, I'm not paying a tax on it every year. No, I put it in, I plug it in, hang it on the wall, and I'm done paying tax on it once I bought the original thing. So I think a lot of people are looking at it and say, in Florida, we have this great luxury of being able to offload tax burden to non-Floridians because people visit, People invest here, people live here part-time who aren't residents, and there are definitely ways that you can structure a tax system to give the homeowners the relief, or homesteaded homeowners particularly the relief, and yet still raise revenue for core functions, although I don't think you need to raise as much as they've raised because I think they're spending too much. So there's a combination of these things. So we have done, in my time as governor, record tax relief. It used to be they do $1 million, $100 million, $200, $300 million a year. For the last, I think 4 years, we've done at least $1 billion a year in tax relief. 2 years we did $2.5 billion. This most recent current fiscal year, we've done $1.5 billion, including for 2 years in a row, toll relief. I mean, any of the commuters, they get a 50% reduction in their tolls. So in your places like Central Florida, you know, it's like everywhere you turn, there's a toll. I didn't put those tolls in, by the way. But it's, there's tolls everywhere.
Yes,
so
in Florida, yes.
If you ping enough, then you know, once we know you're a commuter, you get a rebate at the end of the month. And so we've done that for 2 years in a row. And I would not want to give a rebate to Brazilian tourists that come. Like, let them pay the tolls, right? We're giving the rebate to our Floridians who are working here and are commuting here. So that was something that was really good. We've also done back to school sales tax holidays. For every year since I've been governor. We instituted a disaster preparedness tax holiday. There's actually 2 periods, once before hurricane season, once kind of in the middle of hurricane season, where you can get all these supplies tax-free. And a lot of Floridians have availed themselves of doing that. We also instituted a Freedom Summer holiday for 4 years in a row, and that exempts recreational items.
You'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world. I'm aligned with the world, and I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred, and I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, you know, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
Hey, I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now the President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 is
2014?
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
that's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire, all of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broke this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come to the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it.
I know. Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. Yeah, you're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
you
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have our military equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I tell you.
Just say thank you.
I said a lot of times
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look. If you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me.
For you what
that wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry, here.
It's a tough deal to make. because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do you do then? I understand that it's a conversation right
What are
now,
you
but
saying?
what if
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the
breaks
ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia.
Mesdames et messieurs, merci beaucoup du fait que nous prenons patience pour nous entendre des vidéos. Merci pour patience. Nous pas oublier abonner avec channel là. C'était pour la première fois ou monter sous channel là. Et situation yo un petit genre très difficile pour président ukrainien, Ukraine dans bataille qu'a fait dans pays Ukraine et la Russie, bagaille très compliqué. Et président américain très fâché. Et président Zelensky aussi, il est très fâché pour ça qu'a fait là. Nous capable de comprendre cette situation vraiment, lui vraiment triste et pour l'organe pays pour et en gros lion entrer dans le pays à la craser dans le monde et puis l'on pensé ou t'es capable de monde capable aider ou les amis aider ou c'est dans chaud, vive les météo. Mesdames et messieurs, thank you so much guys. Thank you guys. Thank you very much for everybody who will watch the video. Guys, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to me. If at the first time you enter to my channel, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. May God bless you. May God bless you all. Bon Dieu capable bénir tout le monde là. Merci tout le monde. Ciao. We will see on the next video, on my next video. I don't know when, but maybe I do it every 2 weeks probably. I don't know. Maybe I try to do it more often. Thank you guys. Thank you so much everybody. Thank you guys. Thank you. That's it for that video for tonight. Thank you guys. Ciao.